Cool. Oh, so of course I hit live and I got this fancy microphone sitting here. I don't even know if it's fully connected, but in this video, in this live stream, I wanted to do something a little different. I've tried this like once before, doing basically like a video where I sit down and not exercising or anything like that. Just basically sit here and we talk different fitness topics, because I know a lot of you guys, when you hop on the live streams as I'm working out, you got questions, you want to be interacting. So I thought, hey, you know what? How about we do that just in this type of setting? So we're here in a little office area, got the degrees and the different certs behind me. Um, Part of me wants to try to find out how I can switch the cameras to be something a little bit more high quality. And then even having the microphone, I don't need, like, let's see. Yeah, it's probably one of those things where it's like just have to figure it out as we go along. So I was thinking what I could do is cover five of the most controversial fitness topics that I've seemed to have come across just on my time of speaking with different like people about fitness, getting in shape, and things like that. And a lot of the times these topics are controversial just because people are so black and white with how they approach it. They're like, oh, you have to do this type of diet. You have to do this type of lifting. Don't do that. That's not good for you. And it's like, where are you coming up with these metrics? Like, where's this data coming from? Now, I'm not going to be sitting here talking about different types of analytical metrics and percentages and things like that. Rather, I'm just going to give you a general understanding of a topic and go into what would be beneficial based on each different person's goals. So if you have very specific goals that you would like answered, or questions related to very specific things that you want answered, feel free to drop it in the comments. I'll be more than happy to answer. So one of the first ones I have written down here is basically like intermittent fasting versus just like traditional dieting. Like, which one is more effective for fat loss and muscle preservation? So before even just like directly jumping into the topic of it, we got to define what it is, like what is or what is traditional dieting, and then what is intermittent fasting. So like essentially a diet is just a plan. It's just a plan of how you eat. So intermittent fasting in and of itself is a diet. If someone's like, no, I just like to eat, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, nothing crazy. Technically, that's a diet. Like, that is something that you are following. So right off the bat, it's like there's kind of some holes in it. But when people typically talk about dieting, they're referring to, cutting calories, not eating as much, or sticking to a very specific like eating regiment that is not based on just what you feel like doing that day. So under that assumption, traditional dieting versus intermittent fasting, which is going to help more for fat loss. Well, the truth of the matter is, if you are looking to lose weight, you have to eat less calories than you're taking in. And oh, sorry, like fruit flies. You have to eat less calories than you're taking in. It's like simple as that. There are other approaches. You can just burn more calories than you're taking in, but then that gets into like a weird vicious cycle where you got people that are just like trying to do lots of physical activity in order to overcompensate for the extra calories that they ate. So it'd be like, yeah, I went over my diet by 300 calories, but it's fine because I'm just going to do extra cardio later on or something like that. Like that in a pinch, that certainly can help. If you find that you are exercising a lot every single day, then like, yeah, by all means, you're going to have to increase the amount of calories that you're eating, because you don't want to be in this too steep of a deficit where you're really breaking down the body and the body doesn't have the tools like the minerals, the vitamins, or proteins, fats, and things like that to repair itself, because it's not repairing itself. then you literally are just breaking down your body, and that is not good. So at a certain point, like, yeah, you are going to need to like increase the amount of calories. But like if you're just casually exercising and you're just looking to lose weight, just eat less calories. Now you might be thinking, well, Alec, I already eat not a lot of calories. And what I would say to that is measure it. Like I used to think the same exact way. I struggled with losing weight, and until I actually sat down and like crunched the numbers, I realized I was like, maybe I'm not eating as less calories as I thought. Because there's two things that can happen. There are people that are like, I already don't eat a lot, and it's going to be hard to cut out more food. And then there's people where it's like, yeah, I just like eating a lot. It's hard for me to feel full. And in both of those scenarios, typically what happens is the person that's eating a large quantity of food, it's pretty obvious. You're eating lots of food. So you're going to have to cut down on the quantity of food because the quantity of food is leading to the large quantity of calories. But then that's not eating, the person that's not eating a large quantity of food, but is still struggling to lose weight, what's happening is the quantity of food isn't a lot, but the quantity of calories from the food is a lot. So, for example, like an apple can probably sit in the palm of my hand. We'll just say, like, imagine an apple that's like the palm of my hand. It's not going to be a lot of calories. Now, imagine if there's a lot of, like, there's trail mix. Let's say there's just trail mix, the same size and the same amount of weight as the apple. The trail mix is probably going to be about like 3 to 4 times more calories. And it's the same weight, it's the same volume. Maybe it's not the same weight, but it's the same volume. Like it looks like it's the same amount of food, but the calories is significantly larger. And this was something that I discovered when I was like working with clients and stuff. Two people came in. One person's like, yeah, I eat a lot of food and I gotta, but it's tough. I feel hungry. And it's because they're eating foods that are very, like, either very, very tasty, which makes them not feel as satiating, or it's just super unsatiating foods, like different types of processed foods. You can eat it, it goes in the system, and it kind of comes out very easily. But then the person that's like, well, yeah, I don't eat a lot of food. They're just eating very densely caloric foods. So it's deceiving. So when it comes to intermittent fasting or traditional dieting, it's like at the end of the day, if you want to lose weight, you got to cut down on the calories. Now, the thing that is nice about the intermittent fasting is that it provides these guardrails where if you tell yourself, I'm only going to eat between 12 p.m. and 8 p.m., like I'm not going to eat outside of those hours, it gets difficult to eat too many calories, especially if you space out what you're eating throughout that 8 hour time span. Now, it is certainly possible to just eat a whole crap ton of calories in a single meal, like in a single sitting. If you do that, then you're kind of counteracting the thing to begin with, of the whole idea of eating less calories. But if you're a person where it's like, oh no, I do really well throughout the day, it's just like, at night I snack a lot or this and that. It's like just like with the intermittent fasting, it's like you are giving yourself this rule of I am not going to eat anything else. Therefore, if you're not eating anything else, you're not taking in more calories. And if you're not taking in more calories, you are going to lose more weight. Kind of see how that goes there? So if the intermittent fasting leads you to like binge eat because you're super hungry, then don't do that. If the intermittent fasting allows you to feel more like structured and you're able to stick to the rules of don't eat outside of that time span, then I'd say stick with it. And then the traditional dieting, that would probably be more beneficial if you have like very specific dietary requirements or like, but at the end of the day, it's like with the intermittent fasting, the thing that would be most difficult about that is like eating in social settings. So I said the 12 p.m. to 8 p.m. thing because typically people sit down to eat with others during lunch or dinner. Breakfast or brunch is more of like a rare occasion type of thing. But if it's a thing where you're hanging out with your family and you guys only get together to eat during breakfast, or you only get together to eat during dinner, don't be weird. Have that time span where you can eat in a way, is stacked in a way where you can eat around those people. Because if you're just going to sit there and not eat, it's like, don't do that. Like, you'd have to be a very rare breed of person where it's like, hey, I don't care if you guys are eating. I am here because I enjoy being with you. Like, if that's why you're there, then it's like, cool, do it. But typically it's like, I'm here because, you guys want me to be here, but I can't eat, so I'm just gonna sit and hate it. It's like, don't do that. Don't even show up. So intermittent fasting versus traditional dieting, whichever one can allow you to stay in a position where you're eating less calories than you're burning off, that is the thing that you should be doing. So, yeah. You can see how some of these things, like a lot of people can just be like, no, you have to do this or you have to do that. It's not as black and white as that. Now, I know I did just say like the main answer of like the calorie thing, that's the underlying foundation of like whatever thing you're going to do is going to allow you to reach that result. So, next topic was keto dieting for athletes. So, is a high fat, low carb approach sustainable for performance? So, it depends what kind of performance you're looking for if you're an athlete. Nowadays, there's lots of different types of athletes. You could have someone that's like a sprinter where they got to do quick bursts of movement in a very short period of time. Then you got people where it's like very sustained style type of focus where there's actually like a lot of thinking involved. I could think of something like jujitsu possibly, or oh, what's that? I don't know. I was gonna say chess, but I'm like, that's I don't know. Some people might argue that chess is a sport. I'd say it's a game, but chess, or like so jujitsu. Oh, what would be another sport that like involves a lot of brain power? Tag, I guess. Anyway, depending on the type of sport that you are doing, there are different performance requirements that are expected from the individual of that particular sport. So, the person that's doing the sprinting, they're utilizing different types of muscle fibers, and their body's going to be tapping into a different type of energy source than someone that's going to be doing like long bouts of like endurance exercise, like a triathlon or a marathon. Someone that's doing like strength or powerlifting, same thing, different muscle fibers, different types of energy that's like energy sources that are going to be pulled from the body. Now, if like at least the main benefits that I've found when it comes to doing a keto diet, which is basically putting the body in a state of what is referred to as ketosis, which just means the body is tapping into fat more for fuel and not so much glucose or glycogen or sugars in the bloodstream. And this method of pulling from fat instead of sugar leads people to feel like they have more sustained energy and focus for long periods of time. So I feel that if the performance is more mental related, it is not like a short sprint, crazy amount of energy type of thing, and is more like sustained exercise. Keto could be beneficial, but if it's something that requires you to have like quick burst of energy, the glucose and stuff is going to be extremely important for that. And if you are depriving your body of those things, you're not going to have those things to tap into, and you're not going to feel as though you can like, gah, like really sprint, get after it, push that weight. Because it's kind of like if you have cars and these cars are racing for different purposes and the distance that they're going is different, then they're going to require different types of fuel. So, like, which car can go 0 to 60 in the shortest amount of time? It's like that car will probably very much benefit from using like nitrous oxide. And if another car is just kind of like, okay, which one can get to, you know, 30 miles in the shortest period of time? And it's like, probably wouldn't need the nitrous. Now, I'm not a huge car person. I don't know. Maybe nitrous oxide would work really well in both scenarios. But you could imagine that a car that has to go short period in a very short period of time, the nitrous of like wow, boom, very helpful. That's going to be like the glycogen, the sugar. The body can tap into it, burn it off very, very fast. Then the fat is more just like the gasoline. It's going to need that for like the longer, like distance type of stuff, like a road trip or something like that. So, depending on the type of athlete, it's really going to depend on which thing you're going to do, keto or not keto. For the most part, I don't think keto would be beneficial, but it depends on what the person's feeling. If they got a lot of brain fog, they don't have like really good, like they get burnt out very quickly, then it's like, all right, maybe look into keto. Might be beneficial. So, on the topic of sports, exercise, fitness, what about cardio? What about weight training? Which is better for weight loss and overall health? This is a cool one because a lot of people think that you have to do cardio to lose weight. A lot of people think that if you lift weights, you're going to get super bulky and very heavy and gain a lot of weight. Well, when it comes to your health, when it comes to like having a good physique and losing weight, there's a few different approaches you can do for this. So, in terms of overall health, I would say focusing on weights to be like, well, it's all right, let's back up a bit. Let's say it's overall health, and you're the type of person, or we'll say this type of person doesn't exercise. This type of person really hasn't hit the gym at all. They've got aches, they got pains, not very athletic. Probably they might not even be fat, like they might not look overweight, but they have more fat than their body needs. They have a high body fat percentage, but they don't look fat. It's just that the amount of weight that is on their body is mainly fat, not a lot of muscle. We could refer, this is often referred to as skinny fat. So we'll say this person is kind of skinny fat. They don't really exercise at all. They want to get in better shape. They want to feel better. They want to improve their health overall. We'll say that they're even, uh, you know, like around 30. It could be 25 up to like 35. But all the stuff that I'm going to say is going to be relevant to anyone of any age. But as you get older, the body doesn't build and maintain muscle as well as it does when it's younger. Like when you're a kid and you're growing up, your body's building a lot of muscle because you are doing what? You're growing. But then as you get older, if you're not actively putting stress on the muscle so that the body's like, oh, I got to keep this muscle, it's going to start to lose it. So being like, if this person is like a skinny fat person, I recommend start with the weight training. Start to build more muscle. Now your weight will go up a little bit, but what begins to happen is your body weight starts to shift from being mainly fat to then being more and more muscle. And you want to get to a point where it's like 45% of your body is mainly like muscle mass. So if you don't have a lot of muscle, doing the weight training in the beginning is going to be helpful. It'll also boost your metabolism, which means your body will naturally start to just like lose more and more weight because since muscle is very like, I guess, like energy dependent, muscle is going to burn calories. Like you don't even got to be doing anything. And if you have a lot of muscle, you're going to be burning a lot of calories. But fat, it can sit there. It doesn't require energy. It literally is just stored energy. So doing like a weight training program first can really help to allow you to feel a better mind body connection, which can get you a bit more aware of like, okay, where am I weak? Where am I strong? How am I moving? Am I moving in a way that is helping my body or hurting my body? And when you have more of that muscle on your body and you have more of that like muscular awareness, I would say that then that would be a good time to start looking into more of like the cardio and the endurance. Like it's a little bit backwards because most of the time in the health field, people say like, oh, improve your cardio, improve your endurance first. But like, imagine someone doesn't have a lot of muscle and a lot of their body weight is fat, and there's all this extra strain on their joints because they're mainly just like they're just heavy from having a lot of fat. And then you tell them, go run, go put more strain on those joints without the muscles, without having the muscle that's like necessary to like really like absorb the brunt of the shock that's happening as you're like boom boom hitting the feet on the floor. I don't think that that is very helpful. Plus you can start to lose weight while lifting weights. So now you're building more muscle and you're losing the unnecessary body fat. So you're able to move your body better when you have more muscle, and then without the weight, it's less strain on the joints. So it's like I'd say lose the weight by lifting weights, and then once you have that muscle, then go for it. Then start doing the endurance. Like me personally, like when I was focused on building the muscle without doing like a bulk, like I'm lifting to build muscle, and then when I want to lose weight, I just add in the endurance training, the cardio training. Now, I don't typically say cardio because it's kind of like a loaded term. Like cardio is just like sustained exercise. But when I shifted my idea of cardio of being like, oh, I'm just running to what I like, shifting from I'm just running to I'm training to increase the amount of time that I can do a sustained act like thing like activity, that's when I started seeing more of the results. Like you got to be doing like endurance training. The endurance training is going to be the thing that taps into the fat for fuel. Going back to the thing with the car, you got the nitrous versus the gasoline. If you're doing if you're doing cardio and you're like exhausted and you're winded and you can't do it for a long period of time, you're pushing yourself too much. Like that's not the goal. Like that's that thing that's what trips people up when they're doing the cardio. They're doing things, they're doing activities that are associated with endurance, and then but they're not training the proper way to get the result that they want. So, oh yeah, like I'm running, but I'm out of breath, I'm winded, I'm exhausted, I have to take breaks. You're not doing the cardio properly. Like what is happening is your body is using way too much oxygen than is coming in. That's why you feel out of breath because it's like your body's like I'm physically not getting enough oxygen. And then you need to stop because the body's like I have to relax, like I have to stop burning oxygen, like I have to stop burning up oxygen, so I have to stop and just breathe just to get more oxygen in. Yo, what's going on, Jack? So hope you're having a great morning, by the way. So when it comes to like that's why I say do endurance training, because if the goal is I'm going to do this same activity for a really long period of time without taking a break, then you can approach it differently. Like if you're if your goal is to do a 10-minute mile, but you're like super exhausted in the middle of it and you can't go for like 2 or 3 miles, the goal shouldn't be to do a 10-minute mile. Like make the goal, I'm gonna move my body for 30 minutes straight without taking a break. Can you move really fast? Sure. But can you do 30 minutes without taking a break and without feeling out of breath? If not, don't go really fast. Go as slow as you need to until you can get to a point where it's like, okay, oh, now I can sustain this level of activity for a long period of time. Because when you do that, that's when the body taps into fat for fuel. Like when people say I'm burning fat, like imagine you got a fireplace and you remove all the oxygen from it and then you try to start a fire. You can't. Like fire needs oxygen in order to work, in order to burn. And it's odd. Like it's cool, but it's kind of odd how the body. It's the same exact thing. Like if you don't have the oxygen, the body's not going to burn the fat for fuel. So, oh, Jack, where'd your comments go? Yeah, it's been a while since I saw you on here. I know it's sorry. I'm like going on to my little rants a little bit here, just because the main topic of this video is to be going over the 5 different controversial fitness topics. Ideally, I'd rather be talking with you guys as you hop in here, but it's a little bit different, different approach of how I'm doing the live stream here. So a little bit of like a test thing, but pretty much I'm just going on my rants. That way, um, you know, people are popping in. It's not just like me sitting here all silent and stuff like that. But a little side note, not a fan of what the quality of the camera's looking like. I don't even think this mic is plugged in. Well, it's plugged in, but I don't even think the audio is coming from it. Is that true? Is the audio come? Oh, I don't know. But, trial and error. Sometimes you just got to do a thing and you're going to get way more out of the experience by just doing it rather than trying to sit down and do it perfectly. Done is better than perfect. I try to tell people that when it comes to going to the gym. Like sometimes you just got to go. Sometimes you just got to go to the gym. Like just get the workout in and you're going to see way more benefits from that than you can by just sitting down and meticulously trying to figure out how to do it perfectly. If you want to figure out how to do it perfectly, that's what I'm here for. That way you don't got to sit down and do all the research necessary for it. So that was a bit of, let's see. So we talked about intermittent fasting versus traditional dieting, keto diet for athletes, and then just wrapped up with cardio versus weight training, which is better for weight loss and overall health. So yeah, do the weight training, build the muscle first, then shift over to endurance training, which is more accurate. Cardio, like I just like to say endurance training because it gives a better idea of like what the actual goal is with the cardio. Now, next one, hopefully this doesn't get like the video ghost blocked or anything like that because we're going to be talking about supplements. And then here's the thing that might get it, but supplements and steroids. Like, would you say that they're necessary for muscle gains, or can they cause more harm than good? Now, when it comes to the steroids, I would say way more harm than good. In terms of, I was gonna try to. There's this like pesky fruit fly. I was gonna try to like whack it, but yeah, steroids way more harm than good. Before I dive into the steroids thing, I'll talk about the supplements thing. Now, supplements, I'm a huge advocate for supplements. I take a lot. I take like a whole variety of different supplements. My thought process with the supplements is that I don't want to gamble when it comes to my health. I'm not a gambling guy. Like I would the pain of losing $5 on betting on something is worse for me than having that $5 turn into $50. Like the joy of having the joy of having $5 turn to 50 is not greater than the pain of losing the 5 for me. So with my health and everything like that, I don't want to gamble. I don't want to like hope that my body is in a optimal state for absorbing the different micronutrients that are coming from the foods and that I hopefully am eating the right quantity and weight of a particular amount of food and things like that. Did I get it? There we go. Yeah, that was a little bug zapper right there. But yeah, like so when it comes to the supplements, I see it as like a safety net. Like I'm doing what I can to continue to have a lifestyle that I enjoy while knowing that I'm getting all the things in that I need. So like multivitamins, I'm taking those. I'm making sure that I'm getting that nutritional base that I need. Um, when it comes to like fiber, I'm taking like a fiber supplement. And when it comes to the amount of like leafy greens that I'm getting in my diet. I'm taking like a greens powder supplement, taking like protein powders. And like someone could say like, well, Alec, if you were to eat just like a pound of ground meat and a pound of like vegetables or something like that, you'd get all those things that you need. And it's like maybe you could. Like you're not going to get all the nutrients that you need from like a specific vegetable. Like you're going to have to get a lot of different types of fruits and vegetables. And there's lots of prep work that goes into those things. There's lots of cooking and cleaning and like unfortunately I don't have the luxury of being able to just go out and grocery shop every single day. Or sometimes like I don't even end up having time to grocery shop during the week. And that might just be a me thing. That might just be me not prioritizing going out and grocery shopping. But then you also got to cook, you got to prep, and you got to have the time and the space to actually sit down and eat those things. And if I need to sit down and do work and be focused, like eating a big meal is going to make me groggy. It's going to, well, not groggy. It's going to make me like tired. You're going to get the itis. So if I can just sit down and drink a protein shake and have my multivitamins with that, and then drink some coffee, like, and not feel tired, like, I'd rather do that and have that sustained focus throughout the day. But yeah, the supplements, like, I think they are very helpful, but their benefit comes from the name itself. They are supplements. They're supposed to be added to the good things that you're already doing. So if you think of supplements being like an insurance policy where it's like in case an accident happens, you're covered. It doesn't mean go out and get into an accident all the time. No, it's like doesn't mean don't try to practice good driving behavior. No, it means be a good driver, do your best to avoid getting into collisions, but on the off chance that you do, this is going to help you out. And that's how I see it with the supplements and stuff. Like if I want my body to respond in a certain way to the type of training that I'm doing, I'm going to take the supplements that are going to give it what it needs to do that type of work. It's kind of like a business. Like a business isn't going to thrive because it has paper and pen or papers and, and pens. But if you don't have those things, like how well can it function? You know? So it's like the papers, the pens, like having the printer ink, like that's kind of like the supplements and stuff that you need. But then like when it comes to the steroids, that's like getting like a bank loan or something like that. It's like raising funds for a business without making money from actually selling to customers. So what am I trying to get at with this? So like imagine you have a business. For businesses to work, they have to offer goods and services to people who will then buy those goods and services. So if a business is only functioning because it's getting money by borrowing the money from banks, it's going to continue to put itself in this deep hole where it's like, oh, we're functioning, we're doing things. We don't know if we're doing the right things, but we're getting money and we're still here. Therefore, we're doing okay. And it's like, no, those aren't the proper metrics to be looking at. And it's like, well, we're getting money in. That's good. And it's like, but where are you getting the money? It's like you're getting it from it being loaned to you from banks. Now, if you have a business that's not getting any loans and they're getting money in because they're doing the proper activities that they need to get customers and retain those customers, that's good business. So with the body, people being like, well, I'm growing muscle. I got to be doing something good. But how are you growing the muscle? And it's like if you're taking steroids, it's giving you a false sense that the activities you're doing are the right activities. Because you could be you could look at a dumbbell and be on steroids and gain some muscle. Like it's like assuming that you're getting in the proper calories and the amount of protein. Like if you're on steroids and you're just moving weights, you'll gain some muscle. Might not be some crazy optimal amount of muscle, but you're going to be gaining more muscle than the person that's not on steroids. Now, I'm not saying this to advocate for it. I'm saying this as a warning. Because if you're doing everything properly, you're getting the right amount of calories, right amount of protein, you're lifting properly, you're getting the muscles to fatigue to a point where it stimulates the body to say, hey, we got to grow more muscle. If you're doing all of that, you can expect about a pound of muscle growth per month. Now, if you're doing a fraction of what I had just said and you're on steroids, you might be able to grow 2 or 3 pounds of muscle a month. And it's like, that is like 2 to 3 times the amount of results that someone who's doing it naturally can see. So now you're doing these things and you're doing it improperly and you're getting results, but then you get to a point in your health and in your life where it's like, I can't keep taking steroids because it's killing me. And then you stop and then you go to the gym and you're doing your favorite bicep exercise and it's not getting you the pump that you used to get. It's not giving you the growth that you used to get. It's not giving you that good feeling that you used to get. And why is that? It worked before. Why isn't it working now? And it's like, well, the thing is, it didn't work before. It's because you're on steroids. Similarly, with the businesses that are taking in money, it's like, I don't get it. We had all this money to be able to pay our employees. We were able to buy all these fancy things. Why can't we do that now? And it's like, well, you didn't have the money. You borrowed it from the bank. It was the bank's money. So that's kind of the way that I see it. Now, steroids, growth hormones, and testosterone, those are kind of like different realms of things. Because I'm not gonna sit here and say, I'll never go on growth hormones or testosterone ever in my life. Like, hopefully I won't really need to. But I'm not going to sit here and say that. Like, as I get like I'm gonna be turning 30 this year. I'm getting up there in the age of life experience points. But as you get older, if you're not optimally doing things for your body to continue to produce the same level of growth hormone and testosterone that your body was able to do when it was younger, yeah, at a certain age, I'm totally fine with advocating for taking testosterone and growth hormones because at that point it's just necessary for your health. Like there's a lot of older guys that will get lots of brain fog. They're putting on lots of fat on their body. They don't have the same levels of energy or sex drive that they used to, and same thing happens to females as well. We all have hormones in our body. Their hormones aren't producing at the same level as it used to. And at a certain point, it's like, yeah, you're gonna do it. You know, take stuff to help with your hormones. Take stuff to help with improving the amount of growth hormone that's in your body. Because at that point, you're just trying to be functional, you know? So I know for me, it's like, yeah, I'm gonna like certain point, gonna be more strict with monitoring my I was gonna say blood health, but getting blood work done to see how things are looking under the hood. And if my habits and lifestyle don't lead to like a statistically significant like increase in testosterone levels and growth hormone levels, then yeah, I would talk to my doctor about taking testosterone and different things like that. That's going to be a whole other realm of research that would be necessary, but at least as of right now, it's like I'm putting on healthy weight. I'm still growing muscle. Um, Feeling good. There's different supplements and like Tonga Ali. That's like a thing I could take in the future. Like there's a bunch of different things. So like improving sleep, drinking more water, saunas, yeah, supplements and like if if you approach your habits and then you improve your like diet and then you're getting the right supplements and all of those things didn't make like a statistically significant improvement in the goal that you want to achieve, then it's like, yeah, look for something like testosterone or growth hormone. um just for those of you who are here, and if anyone is watching like the replay of this live, because you're at this point, I'll open up and I'll be a little bit more open about this because like I don't want to hold anything back of what I do. Like when people are like, "Are you on anything?" and I say, "No, I'm not on anything." It's because I'm not. Like I try to be very transparent with the things that I'm doing because I want you guys to know what works. I want you to know that I'm being honest with you. So with the whole thing of like habits, eating, supplements, when it came to my focus of being able to like sit down and get work done, I don't like just over time, like I've started to notice that my focus has not been at the level of what I've liked it to be. Like there's periods of time where the stars align and I can sit down and I can get a crap ton of work done and like have it be very high quality work. As a very short example, um, I had filmed an entire 6-day virtual course for helping people get a six pack. And I was able to so I was able to make that course in a single day, turn that content into a written PDF book, and also get it like printed. And that took less than that whole process took less than a week. And I had a website up and everything for that. Something happened with my domain name, and so unfortunately, I can't find it online at the moment, but I'll be offering it again. And this is not me pitching anything. This is just me giving an example of like, for some reason, all the stars aligned. And during that week, I got that done. But then there's times where that doesn't happen. And I have work that needs to get done, but I can't sit down for 15 minutes and focus and get a thing done. So habits were fine. Eating was fine. Supplements were fine. But I was like, I don't want this to be a blue moon scenario of being able to focus. So I went to my doctor and I was telling him, I'm like, yeah, I'm like, I'm approaching 30 and I'm having these issues of sitting down, focusing. Like, I think it's time. Like, I want to try Adderall out. Let me try that out and I'll just do it when I know I need to focus for work. And we were talking about it and he was like, yeah, I don't see why not. So for that, like, yeah, there's times where I want to sit down and focus, and I have that prescription to help with that sometimes. But I only gone that approach because I've tried all these other things. And sometimes people resort way too quickly to getting medication or getting a surgery or doing some type of like very traumatic treatment without exploring other alternatives. So with the steroids, with the growth hormone or testosterone, it's like that's one of those things where, especially young guys, like there's people that are like 20 or just starting in the gym, like they've only started lifting for a year and they're resorting to steroids. And it's like, dude, you don't even know what you don't know. And it's like you are such in the beginning phase of things and also so young. Like don't do that. Like give yourself if you give yourself enough time, you will get the result. Because going back to the thing with gaining a pound of muscle a month naturally, like if you know you can only gain 1 pound of muscle a month by doing everything properly, and it'll take 10 months to gain 10 pounds of muscle, then like you might have to give yourself a couple years to get to a certain physique that you want. And that's just what it is, like at the end of the day. And then some people are like, well, you know, you only live once. I don't really care to be 90 and in a rocking chair. So I'm gonna do steroids because I'd rather enjoy my life early now and then, who cares? It's like, dude, you could still be in fantastic shape when you're older. And like, I don't know, that's the thing that I think where it's like, I plan to stay in the game for a long time. So I'm taking that into account. I'm doing the things that are going to have time be on my side. Like if I know that, yeah, when I'm 65, I'm still going to be working out. What does it matter that things are taking some time? I've got 30 years, 35 years till I'm 65. Like I got time. There's no need to shortcut something or do something that's going to jeopardize that, you know? It's a long-term investment in your own health. That got really serious towards the end there. So yeah, supplements, steroids, big advocate, supplements, steroids, not a fan. So body positivity versus fitness culture, balancing health and fitness goals with body acceptance and self-image issues. So yeah, but it's an interesting thing because with body positivity and then also just seeing how fitness influencers are posting things online, there are definitely dramatic sides to both. There's the one side of body positivity where, and I'm not saying this to even be like rude or anything like that, but from, and I'm saying this from like medical definition of terms. So you've got the one side of body positivity where you have people who are morbidly obese saying, I love my body and this is fine. And it's like, that is not, that is not positivity. Like there's so many people, like there's been more and more people exposing these types of like body positivity thought leaders who are morbidly obese that are dying because of their weight. And it's like if someone being obese saying that like I'm okay with this because I view this as being positive for my body, like it's not, it is an abuse of the body, but it's tough to like bluntly come out and say something like that because obesity is typically like it's linked with different type of like psychological associations. Like there's no way around that. Eating food makes you feel good, and anything that makes someone feel good can get abused. And typically that abuse happens because it's some type of like coping mechanism. So for someone to be able to say like I'm accepting my body because it's who I am and I should be proud of this. It's kind of like someone who, and this is like super extreme analogy here, so like take it with a grain of salt, but someone being morbidly obese saying that, um, I need to be accepting of my body because this is who I am and I need to love myself is like someone who is missing all their teeth because they are smoking a crack pipe and they're like, well, this is just who I am and I need to accept it because like it's healthy to, it's good to accept myself and who I am. It's like the byproduct of the smoking crack is the losing of the teeth. And to associate the losing of the teeth as something that's being like central to one's character and personality, and then accepting it and saying it's okay is not good. So someone who is like really really obese that is saying it's okay, like the obesity is a byproduct of a behavior that's a coping mechanism for something deeper. And it's like, I think whatever it is that is triggering the overeating is something that should get addressed because that is not good. And I don't believe that trigger, or I don't believe that the thing that is leading one to find comfort from overeating is part of them. Like that is like an external thing and you got to get rid of it. Not the fat, but like the thing that is causing this internal pain, you know? It's like an addiction. And because of that, I try to be careful with like how I'm talking about it because in the past there used to be a lot of backlash. There used to be a lot of mean people who would make fun of overweight people. And I know how that feels because that's how I grew up. Very chubby, fat, overweight. And it's very easy for people to find ways to make fun of that. But also, it is not good. It is not positive for your body. When I was overweight, you know, and this movement of like starting to be more accepting of just saying it's okay to be fat and, let's not try to have better methods of getting to a healthy weight was around. I had a doctor. This was me in middle school. I was at the doctor's and my mom was there. And at the end of the appointment, my doctor was like, okay, cool. So you'll come back in a couple months and I'm going to write this prescription for this heart medication. You can get it filled out at like a CVS. And if anything comes up, you just let me know. And I was like, whoa, what do you mean? Why do I need to be on heart medication? And he's like, well, given your weight for your age and just looking at how much weight you've gained over, the past couple of years at this rate, you know, you'll be at risk of like different types of heart disease. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what do I have? And he's like, no, calm down. You don't have anything yet. That's why we want to get you on this medication to prevent that from happening. And I was like, this is so weird. So because of my weight, I'm at risk of getting a heart disease, some type of heart disease when I'm older. But what if I lose the weight? Like, what if I do that eating right and exercise thing? And he's like, oh, that can definitely help. If that's what you want to do, you can do that. And I'm like, as a middle school kid, thinking like, okay, I guess this is what I have. This is what I should do. So the weight was actually was not good. So that's the one side of the extremes, and then there's the other side of the extreme, where you got the fitness people online, and it's easier now than ever before to Photoshop things and have it look like really convincing. But let's say people aren't Photoshopping and they're just getting photos of when they got a really good pump on, or they did like a really strict diet and they're like really dialed in with how they're looking. And then they're like, all right, we got 2 or 3 days. I'm just going to batch produce a whole bunch of content that'll last for the next 2 or 3 months. And then I can just upload that consistently. And that's what they do. Like, I'm not saying it's a good or a bad thing. Like, I batch produce content. I'll sit down, I'll record 5 videos in a row talking about a particular topic. I take the photos of the thumbnails for my live streams when I'm working out after the workout because I'm looking nice and pumped up. But the thing that trips people up is thinking that they look like that all the time. And it's so funny because it's like, I'm starting to get that now where people kind of are like, I thought like, granted, I'm still in like very good like physical shape, but you see like a photo of me like doing my flex thing with the pecs after chest day, and you can ooh, you can see on people's faces like they're expecting that I have that pump 24/7. It's like, nah. Eventually, thing that's really awesome with like lifting weights, eventually the pump that you get in the gym, if you're consistent with continuing to build that muscle and exercise, the thing that's cool is that the pump of your beginning begins to be the basis of your regular. I feel like I could have phrased that better, but like I walk around now and the way that I look now, it's like I wish I could. It's a little poorly framed here and stuff, but like the way that my arms look now used to be the pump that I got like years ago. And it's cool because now that's the standard, that's my baseline. So like eventually your pump will be your baseline, but it's not going to be like that all the time. So like fitness culture online, you're seeing people when they're recording themselves working out, so they're going to look good, they're going to look shredded. And then you got people who are photoshopping. So it's literally not even a realistic representation of what's possible. And then even other people where it's like people on steroids, like the Liver King guy. I'm fairly certain he also has like implants for his abs. So not that he doesn't have abs, but you can get these like silicone things put in there to like really accentuate like the separation of the ab muscles. And that's why like when he sits down, you can still see the individual ab muscles. It's like that shouldn't really physiologically, like that really shouldn't be possible, but for him it is. So you got people that are on steroids who are able to build an unrealistic amount of muscle, and then you got people who are getting like implants where it's like they have like just like it's literally like an unrealistic physique, you know? And that's both extremes. However, Should people not try to attain not should people not try to attain the physique that they want? Should people not try to feel that they are making progress towards a physique that they are proud of? No, like I think like I'm always I'm always having a moving goalpost for my own physique, and it can get dangerous if you are not focused on the right metrics of where progress is being made. But we should always have something to strive for. We should always have goals. And with our physique and with our health, like over time, the goal might change. Maybe we'll have different demands. Maybe we'll have different things that we're looking to get out of it. But we should always be striving to improve ourselves. So, backpedaling a little bit to the topic that I was just talking about with making sure you have the right metric for the goal that you're trying to achieve. So, last year, January of 2023, I was overweight, just lots of fat, lots of chub on my body. And I wanted to have a six pack. I wanted to be looking ripped and in shape, feeling good and looking good. So I was very disciplined and determined for a few months, consistently hitting the gym, exercising, eating right, doing my endurance training, and was really not cutting corners. And during those couple months, dropped down to like around 9% body fat, had the six pack going on, best shape that I had ever been in prior to that point. And the goal during that time was I need to lose body fat. And that was the specific goal because I was like about 185 and I was crunching the numbers and I was like, okay, so if I, in theory, I was like, so, all right, so I'm 185, I'm around whatever this body fat percentage is. And I was just guessing. I was like looking at photos of people of different body fat percentages. And I was like, okay, I'm probably like 25% body fat. And if I want to get a six pack, I need to be about like 10% body fat. And I crunched the numbers and I was like, okay, so to get from 185 pounds, no six pack, to then having a six pack, I would need to be 165 pounds. So I knew I just needed to lose weight, but it had to be fat. It couldn't be muscle. So that's what I did, was burning fat, maintaining muscle, looking good, feeling good. But then I wanted to keep improving my physique, but I didn't change what the metric was to allow me to get to that next level up of my physique. I kept trying to lose the body fat, but I wanted to build more muscle. So it's like I wanted to build muscle, but the way I was continuing to measure success was based on how much fat I was losing. And it's like, no, 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 dude, different goal. You need a different metric. And it's so funny because like I'm looking back, like I have like a whole backlog of videos that I'm still like editing and uploading to put on the YouTube channel. And there was one that I had created and put up fairly recently. Um, I was in like a red tank top. I think the thumbnail just shows me in a red tank top like that or something. But I was watching that and I was like, dang, I was pretty lean. And I remember my mindset specifically during that time of like not feeling like I was lean enough because my mind was still on the track of like I need to burn fat, but I want to improve my physique, but I'm still on the mindset of burning fat. So I wasn't satisfied with my physique. And I was thinking it's because I needed to lose more fat. And then looking at the video, I was like, dude, you're pretty ripped. You did not like did not need to lose fat. You just need to build some more muscle. And that's where people can trip up with wanting to continue to improve their physique. They're looking at different things. So like, I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory there. I could do another business example. Like if a business is like, we need to we need more customers because we're not making enough money. And then someone's looking at the business and they're like, okay, I mean, yeah, more you get more customers, you're going to make more money. But let's say we just cut your cost in half. Would you not make more money then? And it's like, oh, well, yeah, if I'm spending half as much, then I get to keep that much, then I get to keep that half. And it's like, exactly. Like, do you think that would be quicker to implement than trying to find all these different ways of just getting in more people? And it's like, oh yeah, that'd be much easier. Plus, if I get more customers, I'm also going to have to increase the amount that I'm spending. It's like, exactly. So there's different things that someone could look at for their physique stuff. And it's funny because, all right, little pro tip. That's what I do that for, like how I train specific muscle groups as well. So I often, when people ask like, "Yo, how much do you weigh?" and I tell them, people typically get pretty surprised because they think I weigh a lot more than I do, just because like visually it looks like I'm much heavier than I am, and it's all an illusion. Like my shoulders are very defined, pretty large. My upper chest has been filling in more, so has my middle chest. My quads and calves are fairly defined and shaped up very well, and my back is pretty broad. So, with all of those things combined, oh, yeah, and then triceps are fairly large as well. So, it makes my arms look a little bit bigger than they actually are. Like, but with all these things combined, it gives off this like visual appearance of having a lot of muscle without necessarily needing a lot of muscle. Like, I've stood next to people who are like 15 pounds heavier than I am, but would look like they're about 25 or 30 pounds lighter than I am. All right, that might be a little bit over exaggeration, but like I've been like, I've stood next to people that are literally like 15, 20 pounds heavier than I am, but they look like they'd be about 15 pounds lighter than I am. And it's just because they don't have the muscle definition. The muscle density is like distributed in like odd places that don't actually like add to like a physique that looks like it's more muscular. So those are like little tricks you can do there. Um, but yeah, that's what kind of little trick that I do for muscle physique stuff. I kind of got off track there for the body positivity and the fitness culture stuff. But yeah, it's like be proud of the progress. Okay. I mean, and progress can be very different for different people. Sometimes progress isn't necessarily, oh, I lost the weight on the scale or I built this much muscle. Maybe the progress is, hey, I I bought all the food that I needed to eat this week and I stuck to it. I didn't deviate from the diet plan. Sometimes progress is, hey, I got in the gym every morning now, 5 days in a row. Maybe progress is, hey, I didn't go out to drink at all this weekend. Like progress is different for different people. So, in terms of like body positivity, like be proud of the progress. You can always, there's always going to be a new goal to have. And if you stay where you're at, you're going to inevitably, yesterday, second best time is today. But if you notice it, you can always backpedal. But it's like when you notice it, it's kind of like that's when things get hard. You know, when I'm not stretching, when I'm not foam rolling, for example, if I don't do it enough, I will pull a muscle, I'll injure something, and then I'm out of the gym for a while. And I'm not going to notice it the first day I don't foam roll or stretch. I'm not going to notice it the second day. But over time, it's adding, it's stacking up. And then eventually I get hurt. And then I'm out of the gym for a while. And it's not, there's no warning. It just happens. So with your own stuff, like make progress, see that growth. Because if you're not growing, I'm telling you, stuff is declining. That's just how life works. So that's all the topics right there. Just a little bit of a review because I wrote them down. So we got the intermittent fasting versus traditional dieting, which one's more effective for fat loss and muscle preservation. And to preserve muscle, you got to eat a lot of protein. If you're looking to lose weight, you got to eat less calories than you're burning off. That's the cliff note summary of that. And then we talked about keto diet for athletes is high fat, low carb, sustainable for performance. And the non-black and white cliff noted response to that is it depends on what the performance is that you're looking for. If you need a little bit more mental clarity and you got to be focused for a long period of time, then keto might be good for you to explore. But if you got to do a short burst of intense energy, keto most likely not the way. And then we talked about cardio versus weight training, which method is better for weight loss and overall health. And I like the approach of going for, especially if you're an untrained individual, I would recommend weight training first. Build up some more muscle on your body. And then once you got more muscle and you feel like you want to show off that muscle, then you can transition to doing more cardio. But I would say for cardio, do endurance training. Train your body to do the same level of activity for a long period of time. You're going to find way more benefits from that. And then we talked about supplements and steroids. Are they necessary for muscle gain or can they cause more harm than good? Steroids, I would say more harm than good. Does that mean I do not advocate for testosterone and growth hormone use if your blood levels are like not at an optimal point? You're getting older and testosterone levels are going down and stuff like that. Like at that point, I'd say it's fine. And then for supplements, I'm a huge advocate for it. Like it's hard to get all the stuff that you need. And a lot of people don't have the luxury to be able to do all the whole food options to get all the nutrients that they need. So in that case, I do recommend supplements, but it is to be added to an already foundationally sound diet. Can't replace it. And then last but not least, body positivity versus fitness culture, balancing health and fitness goals with body acceptance and self-image issues. So like body positivity, I would say be happy with the progress of being healthier, of getting closer to a physique that you're proud of. But don't be content with being at an unhealthy weight. And then fitness culture, you definitely just got to be mindful of the fact that fitness influencers are taking their photos and they're doing their videos when they're looking their best. Is it a bad thing? No. But assuming that they look that way 24/7 is just not accurate. And then also be aware of the fact that there are people out there who are showing off physiques that have been attained through performance enhancing steroid use. They may even have had surgery to physically like alter or modify their bodies so that it looks a certain way. And then on top of all that, there's also just Photoshop. There's ways to like manipulate images and videos in a very like imperceptible way that drastically changes how someone's physique looks online. So just be mindful of those things. So that is all the topics. It was a very fun little video thing here. It's very different. I was kind of hoping to have a little bit more activity going on in the chat and stuff because I just like being able to like directly answer and like people's questions one-on-one based on their specific goals, because that's where a lot of this comes down to. It's where someone is at in their health and their fitness specifically, and then where they're specifically trying to go. If you were to try to ask me like, hey, how do I get to downtown Manhattan? It's like, it depends. Are you in New York City or are you in California? Do you want to drive there or do you want to fly there? Or are you walking? Those are all different, and it all depends. Where are you at? Where are you trying to go? Someone might be in California. They don't want to go to downtown Manhattan. These are all things that you got to know. So anyway, that wraps it up for now. I got to head out. Got to do some work stuff. And until next time, I look forward to seeing you guys. And if you're not subscribed, I do hope you do subscribe because it's always a pleasure having you guys here, part of the community. So until next time, I'll try to do some better tweaks to this format of live streaming. But I think that's pretty much it, I got to say. Look forward to seeing you guys in the next video. Until next time, get your workout on, go sweat, drink protein shakes, and enjoy your week. All right, peace.